Welcome to the Aging Adventure, brought to you by Legacy Retirement Communities. I'm Dale Johnson. Every Saturday morning, my friends at Legacy's 4 state-of-the-art communities, the Legacy Terrace, Legacy Estates, and Legacy Arbors, share experiences and knowledge about senior living. And I couldn't do this show alone. John Kopetsky, Legacy Terrace Executive Director, and Kathy Blythe, friend of KFOR listeners and longtime Legacy advocate, join me for these conversations. Good morning, John. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning.
With us this morning are Executive Chef Paula Saltzman and Activities Director at Legacy Arbors Memory Care, Michele Carlson. First, how prevalent is ageist language in our society? Our expert this morning is Tracy Haefele, Legacy Enrichment Associate.
You know, we hear a lot about various isms throughout the world today, but one that maybe doesn't get discussed as much is ageism. Can you tell us a little bit about ageism in our society today?
Well, I think ageism really scans the board. Every age can be prejudiced against or discriminated against, but the one I'm mostly focused on is aging for the senior population. And I think that I feel it's most prevalent when we use the word still, meaning when we're talking with an older citizen, it is, oh, are you still driving? Are you still gardening? Do you still do this or that? And the word still insinuates that they shouldn't be, or they might not be. And there's no reason to make that insinuation. And so it really should be, if you want to know, are you driving? Do you garden? And we should just get rid of that word still. That's my personal feeling.
It's not only younger people who speak that way about older people, but sometimes older people speak that way about themselves. And you have a lot of great ways that we can just shift that mindset.
Absolutely. I feel like if we would just assume that everyone can do anything until we find out differently, then it would just be a much more positive environment, and we would give people the credit they deserve, regardless of age, honestly, but especially as people get older. We make these assumptions that they've given things up or that they cannot do something. And that's a very unfair assumption to make, because I am surrounded by amazing people of varying ages, and age is a number. It really is. And people have been given different challenges, and some 70-year-olds may physically feel like they are much older. And I may have a 92-year-old friend who would wow the socks off of those people who are making assumptions about the age of 92.
It really is about buying into stereotypes, consciously or subconsciously.
And I think, again, we do this in different ways. I think the younger generation gets stereotyped too. And I think that's one of the beauties of a community like this is with our dining services population, that mostly high school and college age kids that are serving in our dining room, it exposes so many of our residents to this great group of young people coming up. And these young people get to see how amazing population can be.
I've said over and over again that I've known some very young 90-year-olds and some very old 60-year-olds. It really is just a mindset.
And it's up to us to form the habit of not using the word still and not making those assumptions.
One of the things that I admired about you, well, many things I've admired about you since I first met you, but the thing that hit me first of all was the fact that you have so much joy and so much fun that you put into everyday living. So it's a perfect match with what you do for a job. But how did you cultivate that in yourself?
Well, I thank you very much, Kathy. You know, I adore you. I think it's really about finding joy. What is your purpose? And purpose is a big word. We don't have to make it that difficult. Really, purpose is about being helpful, about finding a reason every day to help someone, to make the world a better place. And that can be done on a multitude of levels, but that needs to happen at any age. And the other way to find joy is to be grateful, to look around and see things that are blessings that we take for granted, all of us, any age. But just being reminded of that and knowing that what's my reason for today? What's my reason for right now? Seeing how you want to see yourself and how do I get there? And a lot of times that's by helping others and being grateful.
Thanks for the good inspiration, Tracy.
You know, a corollary to, you talked about being grateful and bringing joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. No matter what we're doing, if we're comparing what we have to what someone else has, or what somebody else can do to what we can do, or what we maybe used to be able to do and can no longer do as well, it's going to rob joy from your life.
Everyone has gifts at any age, and they just have to tap into those gifts.
Tracy, thank you very much. All of that is very good advice. Next, spotting early signs of dementia when the aging adventure continues. Welcome back to The Aging Adventure, brought to you by Legacy Retirement Communities. I'm Dale Johnson. Signs of dementia. It's different for different people. We have reached out to Michele Carlson, Activities Director at Legacy Arbors Memory Care.
Good morning, Michele.
Good morning, Kathy.
I think that if we were to take a survey of people, most of us have a fear of developing dementia or some form of Alzheimer's as the years progress. And we also fear it for those we love. And I think you have some great ideas for our listeners, some important signs to be watching for in ourselves and in others.
What you're really looking for are changes in your loved one that affect their ability to function in their daily life. Their ability to manage money, their ability to plan events, ability to do tasks that they've always completed successfully. Also, a lot of what we see is changes in personality. Those changes often allow that person to cover up and kind of hide those changes that may be going on. Someone who's generally been a pretty calm, peaceful person may now be loud or boisterous. And refusals to socialize, hanging out with those friends, fear of being found out is very common.
You know, Michele, I think I heard you one time say that if you know one person with dementia, you know one person with dementia. It really is very individualized.
As different as you and I are, it's the same with dementia. I've been in memory care a lot of years, and everybody's journey is different. How they go on that journey, how things happen, how those symptoms develop is different for everybody. And we really have to be mindful of that because their care can be different and their needs can be different.
How can we ourselves as individuals or as caregivers to somebody who's in this situation, how can we best educate ourselves so we really are on top of things, Michele?
Well, knowledge is power. You really, really have to educate yourself on what is this disease? What am I seeing? Why is it happening? And what is the best method of care for this person? And that, of course, is going to be different. Some of those traditional things that we remember from years ago that seemed kind of scary, it's changed significantly. So how we help someone through this journey looks very, very different than it did maybe 20 years ago. So finding out, what does that look like?
So can you differentiate between signs of dementia and just general forgetfulness that we all experience at some point? How can you differentiate those two?
Well, what you're really looking at is dementia is going to affect your ability to function in your daily life. Driving will become problematic. Maybe you don't get your bills paid. Normal forgetfulness is when you forget, but you turn around and go, oh, that's what I was going to do. You remember in that same span of time. People with a dementia don't remember, become lost in their own environment, in their own home. And in those things that they do every day, they suddenly cannot, just like a job. People are in a job and suddenly can't perform those tasks, like managing a cell phone or a computer. They're very, very subtle, but also very obvious. So it's really getting to the doctor, finding out what's going on, because if there is any medication that can possibly help, you want to do those things early on. You want to be proactive, not reactive. And again, knowledge is power. So getting yourself or your loved one to the doctor is very important.
One of the things, the many things that you do at the Arbors, Michele, is to support families, not only to take care of those who are in your care, but also to take care of the families. And you are very good about sharing resources that people who are in this situation with family members, that they can support each other.
Absolutely. We offered, of course, pre-COVID, we did a support group, which was very, very valuable. As well as all of the education we offer here to our families. They're lucky that they live here and have access to it. But we at the Arbors have shared in the community with families and friends, and we're always willing to visit with someone and at least get you on the right path, direct you to some resources, maybe help you with an immediate need. We're always available for those phone calls, and are glad to share what we know and hopefully help someone navigate it.
What can our listeners do if they know somebody who maybe they have a spouse who is dealing with dementia and their friend is the caregiver? What's something valuable that our listeners could do and reach out to their friend and support them?
Well, as I said before, be proactive, not reactive. With any type of dementia, you can go from it being manageable to being unmanageable in just a few hours. So you need to know, what am I going to do? Where do I want my loved one to be if they need care? What are my options? What are my finances? What are my legal, my power of attorney? Do I have those things in place to help manage my loved one as this progresses? Need to know what's available and seeking out information and finding out what would be the next step, and looking at what other people have used. Talk to friends, talk to neighbors. Sometimes someone who's had the experience has the best level of information and can share with you their experience.
Thank you very much, Michele. Food and fun are next when we continue with the Aging Adventure. It's the Aging Adventure on KFOR, brought to you by Legacy Retirement Communities. I'm Dale Johnson with John Kopetsky and Kathy Blythe. Nothing like food to foster feelings that are memorable. No one knows that better than Paula Saltzman, executive chef at Legacy.
Paula, good morning. Thanks for being with us today. There's, as Dale said, food can really bring back all sorts of wonderful memories and feelings of nostalgia throughout your life.
Food can bring back memories from childhood, cooking with your grandma. And when we get there, we'd eat lunch, play, do whatever. And before we left, she always had made sugar cookies. She probably made the best sugar cookies of my whole entire life. So she would give us a whole ice cream pail of those, And we would take him home, and it was a good, 3-hour drive to get home. And by the time we got home, maybe there'd be a half a bucket left. They were amazing. And when I found a recipe and I made them here for the residents and for staff, and they were just like, I see what you're talking about. And that's what memories bring for me. You tell your story through it, you tell your life through it, and people can relate to that part of you. As for my career here, we've worked with a lot of different residents. We had one that Arnie was his name, and he made the Miller and Payne cinnamon rolls. That was his career all his life, was the head baker there. And so when he came down, he would come down 2 a.m. in the morning, and we would get up, come down, and help him make those. And not only did it create memories for him to get him back into what he was doing, it also made his daughter excited because she got to have some cinnamon rolls. And Kathy, you got to have some cinnamon rolls.
I did. Oh,
And everybody was like, I remember these rolls. We've also done a Christmas. We had a resident that wanted her Christmas here. So I sat down, we talked about, what did you serve on Christmas? What were some of your traditions? She wanted Swedish meatballs and potato sausage. So I called around and found them in Wahoo. So we went down to Wahoo, picked them up, had the potato sausage, had the Swedish meatballs, and then her kids were like, thank you, because now she feels like it's home again, and we got our memories. They also did say that the Swedish meatballs were better than her mother's.
Oh, there's so much to be said about nostalgia, bringing the past into today and incorporating it in as part of our lives. And certainly we have so many memories that are connected with food and sitting around the table with family. And one of the things that you have taught us, among many, Paula, is the importance of keeping those recipes alive, making them ourselves, maybe honoring a loved one who's no longer at the family table with something that they were famous for making. You have so many good ideas about that.
I try to get all their memories. I try to visit with everybody, and because food is, it's the senses of it. It just brings in so many things. We like to incorporate some of the old, some of the new, and trying to bring up new memories. We're trying to create some new memories for the residents. And for people that I know at home, I do it. I try to have the family together and try to do one different dish on a family traditional time instead of just doing always the traditions. Sometimes it's fun to just put a little playful things in there that they might not have any idea that were coming. But then there's also the other memories that you have. Like I make potato casserole. I cannot make it if I don't put it in my mom's casserole dish that she used since we were kids. It just doesn't taste the same. I think that has a lot to do with that memory of it.
There's also something special about seeing recipes that are in your loved one's handwriting.
Yes, absolutely on that one. I do have my grandma's sugar cookie now laminated because it's getting worn out with time and it's fading and I can't read all of it sometimes. So yes, and I have a lot of those. I have a little box on my desk that residents have brought me, family members I have from, and those are our go-to sometimes, if we want to do something that makes them feel good and makes us feel good, and we'll go dig them all out and find them. But I do keep all of that, and it is really neat.
Brings back so many wonderful memories, for the people that are eating those dishes. Takes you back to Christmases or Easters or Thanksgivings or other family gatherings, and just those little touches brings so much comfort.
It brings me comfort. I hope it brings everyone else comfort as much as it does me.
Paula, thank you very, very much. You got me with the Miller and Payne cinnamon rolls. You got me with that.
And you're still doing those, aren't you, Paula?
Yes, we're going to be doing them here in the next couple weeks.
Wow.
That's great. A wonderful tradition. Thank you so much for doing this today. Great job.
Thanks, Paula. John, where can listeners go for more information about the subjects that we've talked about today and answers to many other retirement questions?
Well, you can submit your questions through the email questions@legacyretirement.com. We'll be happy to answer them here on the air. Also by phone, 402-436-3000, or online at legacyretirement.com.
And Kathy, it is always good hearing you again on KFOR and sharing your love of the legacy.
Thanks, Dale.
This is Dale Johnson on the Aging Adventure, brought to you by Legacy Retirement Communities.